Happy New Year, everybody! Welcome to the Tanya Love Show and welcome to 2015. I am feeling it's going to be an amazing new year, and I'm hoping that you guys are all getting your New Year's off to a great start. I was chatting with some of my healing clients this past week, and just I observed like the typical pattern that we do where we're like, oh, let's make our resolutions and talk about all the things that we did wrong and that we want to do them better this year. And there's just like this focus typically with resolutions that seems to be more on what's wrong with you than on what's right with you. And I feel that's deeply why we don't manifest what we really want and why they never work out or rarely work out, I should say. And one of the things that I feel I personally like to do is like my family and I sat around the table and we just went and just looked over the past year of 2014. And each person in the family just tuned into each month of the year and what stood out to them, like what they were grateful for, what challenged them, what taught them something, what we learned over 2014. And I feel like there's something really valuable in that pause to reflect back and see where we've come from and how far we've risen and what we've accomplished through our own journey of healing and awareness as we step forward into this new year with more confidence, more awareness, so that we can shift and come into even a higher vibration, a higher experience. So I encourage each of you, rather than just write down a bunch of things like lose weight, stop smoking, go to the gym, all these typical things that we always say, maybe look back and really reflect on what challenged you this year. Who came into your world that brought you lessons, and instead of seeing even those challenges as a bad thing, see them as a learning opportunity, as an opportunity for growth and expansion, and really give honor to yourself for how far you've come and a lot of self-love for what you have made it through. And the reason I say that is that today I feel really led to and inspired to do the show about addiction. And so what spirit brought me in my dream state was the phrase transcending the darkness of addiction. And I feel like addiction in its essence affects so many, and it's not just drugs or alcohol, but it's in so many different forms. It can come in and be sneaky and control us and make us feel as if we have no power over our own journey. And this is part of why I feel reflecting back over your past year and giving honor to what you have risen above and what you have transcended is actually really beautiful and assisting you in moving forward in more empowering directions, which will keep you from going back to those addictive behaviors that come and I feel are just stemmed from the very essence of this woundedness. There's like this void in us. And until we can heal that void, until we can really feel what is that void in me, what is that pain in me, what is that sadness in me, we'll just continue to sabotage ourselves. And yesterday I had this illumination game day and I had a bunch of powerful goddess warrior women with me and we had an amazing day. And it was so enlightening to observe such mirroring happening in this game. It's like a spiritual board game, kind of like getting a very intense angel reading where spirit's working through all the players and through the game. And it's really amazing. And every single woman came in this certain energy of feeling not quite enough. And every one of them had this mirroring they were doing with each other where they were mirroring each other's issues. And there was a lot of it all came down to the core message of that game day was self-love and self-worth. And so they basically all in some way were feeling something was not quite enough in them. And so there was part of their behaviors as they would try to fill that void with people, with food, with behaviors that never would really work out. And it always left them feeling worse and not powerful and insecure. And so the amazing thing is in just a few hours of this game and really bringing a light in on each person's stuff so they could really see it. And with lots of love and lots of self-worth and acceptance, every one of those women left our sacred space in such a higher vibration and in such a state of self-love. It was really inspiring. And just to watch that shape-shifting happen in such a short period of time was really amazing. And I feel like the overall message that came through was the self-love. And I've talked about this before on the show where ultimately on our planet, we're going through this shift, which I love to call the self-love shift. And it really is coming to all of us, and none of us are immune from this work. Every single one of us have to do our own work. And if we don't, this is where the ego energy comes in, and it starts to put pressure on us, and it starts to cause us suffering because we're not clearing that pain. We're not shaking off the past. And so with 2014, I looked at my year and I had so much honor and reverence for everything that happened. And I really thought back of all the things I went through. I had an ex-husband that beat up my child, and I had to deal with that. And something I never dreamt I would be dealing with. Lawyers, police officers, emergency doctors, domestic violence people, like all this stuff I was dealing with, counseling, helping my son when he attempted suicide. These were huge things. And every single thing that we went through over this past year, even though it seemed kind of tough and challenging in the now, I was like, well, I'm going to face it. I need to deal with this. We're going to get this done. We're going to look it right in the eye. We're going to shine the light on it, and we're going to move forward. And so much healing has happened over the past year in my family and with my son in particular. And there's still a lot of healing to be done. But I feel like I've observed this hook that he has with addiction. And with him, it's with marijuana, with drugs, and smoking cigarettes. And there's stuff that I want to get into on that today. But with each person that has any kind of unresolved stuff, I observe that they each have some form of addiction. And this is something we all can relate to. And I feel like every one of you listening, probably at some level, is like, oh, shit, yeah, I've got something that I don't really feel proud of, or, oh, I just never want to talk about that thing. Whatever that thing is that keeps you feeling like you're kind of hiding something in the shadow, my intention for today is to encourage you to put it out into the light. Not because you need to tell other people about it, but for you to just be honest with yourself about whatever it is so that you can put it on the table, shine the light on it, observe it, learn about it, and heal whatever the pain is, that emptiness inside that's causing you to try to fill it with something external. And until we really do that work, we will suffer. And I've observed so many humans suffering. I've seen so many of the clients I've had clients that have had drug addiction problems in the past. And it's interesting to observe how much it all comes down to they're not good enough. Every one of them has that in common, that they feel they're not good enough at some level. And when they start to do behaviors that hurt themselves or others, that not good enough turns to a shame. And then the shame energy is what holds them like cement in the darkness of addiction. And so, what I've observed is if we want to heal anything on this planet, any woundedness, we have to bring the issues into the light. We have to face it. We have to really shine that light on it and stop being afraid to talk about it. Like, how many of us listening know there's stuff going on in our families, or there's stuff going on in us personally, and no one wants to talk about it? But everyone's tuning in and sensing stuff is going on. And so what if we stopped trying to pretend that there's nothing going on and that we're all just perfect and that we don't have anything to talk about, and start to really be honest so that we can help each other? And part of that is knowing who to talk to. There are definitely people I've learned that are beneficial to speak my truth to and to put my vulnerability out in the light with them. And there are people that I've learned are not ideal to do that with. And so part of that is your discernment. We all have this journey of discerning energy at every moment, and what we're going to, do with any moment as it arrives, and what we're going to say or not say. But I feel like ultimately addiction takes hold of so many. I know for myself, when it was probably like 2001, my dad had committed suicide, and it was a really hard time for me. Looking back now, I see the beauty of that time and how it cracked me open in a spiritual way. I really started to seek and want to know truth. It cut through all the BS. I started to become quite the spiritual warrior seeking truth at that time in my life. And it's beautiful overall. But at the time, I was in a lot of pain emotionally, and I didn't have a spiritual healer nearby that I could talk to. I did talk to my angels, and most of the work I've done has been on my own. and through my guides and angels helping me, and through books I've read, getting insights to help me understand that there is life after death. I remember reading a lot of books by James Van Praagh that helped me understand that, and to understand myself, like why I was feeling spirits nearby, why all these psychic phenomena things were happening to me that were kind of making me wonder if I was losing my mind. And I realized I wasn't, and that I actually was just very sensitive, and this gift was opening in me. But at that time, all of that energy was hitting me at once. And there was all this wound and this pain of the loss of my dad. And the deeper pain was abandonment. I see that now. This abandonment wound of having an abusive mother, and then the father that I did love took his own life, and just the pain of it and the lack of control I felt over my movie. I couldn't control that, and I was angry. And so during that time, I became very addicted to fitness. I And it's interesting because we can have certain addictions that as a society we celebrate them. We're like, "Yeah, you go girl, you're looking good. You have 2% body fat. Awesome." Even though that person looks, maybe they look physically to the eye like they're in amazing shape, internally, I can speak from the experience, I felt like hell, and I wasn't happy. I felt miserable. I was so exhausted. My body hurt. My heart hurt. My emotions were overwhelming. And yet, I'd go to the gym and pound it and work for hours, and it would feel better because I felt control over something. But overall, I never felt I was controlling something. I was like, it was always slipping out of my grasp. And no matter what I looked like, I would look in the mirror and it was never beautiful enough. It was never lean enough. And when I started to really heal and come out of that fog and realize that that was a really bad path and it wasn't going to work out long term, I started to realize how insane it is. And it all came to self worth. It came to my own body image, my own self worth, my feeling of belonging on this planet, my feeling of being safe over things that were taken that I couldn't control. And so I can speak from the heart that I can understand with the deepest compassion why any of you would choose to be addicted to anything. However, I had to do my work, and I had to be a warrior to face these deeper demons, that I had to look them in the eye and I had to put them out in the light and transcend that darkness into light for my own well-being. And today I can stand here, sit here and talk to all of you and feel very empowered and very confident and capable because I actually did that work. And I don't feel plagued or haunted or shamed by anything anymore. But it was quite a journey. And I observe how a lot of the clients that have had these issues with like drug addiction, this is another level of addiction. It's one thing, there, no addiction is good. None of it is helpful, really. It's all creating pain and it's causing suffering. But an addiction like over exercising is going to harm me, and it's only going to harm myself as far as my body's going to hurt. But that addiction with, like, say, taking heroin, for example, that addiction of taking in poison in the body that causes that human to behave oddly and to create energetic misalignments with anyone they connect with can be very destructive, not just to their own life and to their life force, but it's very destructive to their families, their work environments, their friendships and close relationships all will be affected by this. And so what I see is like there's some part of me that has always been a spiritual warrior. I have never sought drugs as a solution. To be honest with you, I have the greatest compassion for souls who have struggled with drug addiction or alcoholism or anything like that. But my brain can't even wrap around that or comprehend the desire to put poison into the body in such a way. It doesn't make any sense to me. I do see it from my perspective as a healer. I see drug addiction, even smoking cigarettes, it's kind of like a cowardly approach to suicide. Instead of, I'm not saying my dad was this like amazing warrior because he shot himself and took his life in that way, and that is how it happened. But to really look at that, that's huge courage to really choose a choice like that. And to make a choice that's slowly poisoning your body and slowly poisoning all of your relationships and destroying them, to me is kind of like the slower, cowardly approach to that same ending. And ultimately it's not going to solve anything. I can tell you from where I sit as a healer that my dad taking his life did not stop his life force. His soul was very lost and very kind of in that haunted space for a while where he was coming to me and he was really needing to heal, even in that in between realm. And then he chose to become a spirit guide for a lot of our family and stay in the light. But he had to still feel and deal with his stuff. And so what I see is that if we're taking addiction as something to be a solution to dealing with the pain we don't want to feel, and so we're kind of, I see addiction as a way to numb. So if something's going wrong in my world and I can't control it, I'm going to take something and I'm going to put it over myself like a bandage to try to numb this pain that I don't want to feel. I don't want to deal with it. Ultimately, that pain is going to be dealt with at some time. So when I see clients that, from 12 years old were doing drugs till 40, that whole journey, they were in numb mode and they were numbing themselves. And when they come into consciousness, the painful part for them is looking back at their life and seeing all of those people that they hurt, seeing how much they hurt themselves, seeing all the destruction that was created from the poison they were bringing into their body and into their world. And the deep shame that they have. And the biggest issue I feel with addiction that causes people to go back to that path is that shame. So if we don't clear that shame, if we don't really heal and forgive ourselves, that will keep us trapped in the shadow again. So there's a lot of work here to be done. However, if we're 12 years old, 14 years old, my son's 18, and he's got his pain, and I honor that pain. I see what he's been through, and I have deep compassion. However, if he doesn't want to feel it and heal that, and he starts to numb it, and then society says, oh, it's okay, it's just cigarettes. Oh, it's just marijuana. Like, it's good. It's from the earth. It's natural. I've heard the most ridiculous things said about drugs. And I'm actually really at the point where I've been very observant and patient and just compassionate about people's choices. But at the same time, there's wisdom in me that knows that these things are not good and they're very destructive. And I feel like it needs to be spoken and we need to research and understand what's going on more. As a mother, I was quite naive about drugs because, like I said, I don't even look into that world. It's no interest to me at all, except for the fact that I send love and light and hope that all that are on that path will heal. But at the same time, I was quite naive to anything about that world, to what this drug is compared to that. And I have had two children that have gotten involved in things that I just feel that they're naive in this journey of being young youth. They go and they're hanging out at parties, someone gives them marijuana. Sometimes that's just pure marijuana, but there's children that I have been reading about that have died one time because they took synthetic marijuana, which I don't even know what that is, but basically man-made substances in place of marijuana and trying to sell it as if it were that. I've heard of children that inhale these inhalants and like gasoline out of car tanks and inhaling aerosol cans, and that they die a lot of times very quickly. Some of them live through it, which is amazing to me because of what it does to your brain and what it's doing to the body. I feel like if we as parents were more educated on this stuff and we could really understand the warning signs, then we could help our children more. And I feel like that's why I'm speaking so passionately today, is because we all have to do our own research in this and not looking into it in a fearful way, but just understanding and learning more about things that maybe we have no clue about, but we do sense things are off with our children. And at the same time, like I brought this book, I'm going to hold it up for a second. My friend who is she's studying to be in some kind of like narcotics program. When she was younger, she said that she did just about every drug there was, and she had quite a journey to heal. And I met her as a healing client, and we were healing a lot of that past together. Like I was assisting her. And now she's going to school to actually assist in stopping this, which is a very interesting and beautiful transcendence of darkness where we walk through it, we learn, and then we come out of there and we rise and we come out to help others and to help them prevent that same dark path. But this book is one that she said the FBI really encourages anybody who's studying in these programs to read. So if any of you are interested, it's called Uppers, Downers, and All Arounders. It's by Daryl S. Inaba, and then William E. Cohen, Cohen. And what's interesting is I brought it home and I was even talking to my son about it. And he picked it up and he was reading through it right away. And I encouraged him to. I was like, take that in your room. And I really encourage you to read it because I feel like if you knew what you're putting in your body and if you knew the dangers that were there, you might be more cautious to just trust random people of what they're giving you. And even, in our society, I see so many young kids are just totally thinking marijuana is fine. I have observed it. I've heard too many people tell me that, oh, it's not addictive, it's fine, it's harmless, no one ever has anything bad happen. I observe with my own journey, because that's how we're going to learn. And what I've observed, if I could give marijuana a word, I feel for, and I can't speak for everyone, because there are some people that take it medicinally and in controlled ways that it's helping them, and I see that. And so I'm not going to say that it's not marijuana's bad, but I see a lot of these children doing it and they're over consuming this. And it's the procrastination drug is the word I would give it. It's like where they take this energy in and they don't want to do anything. They want to talk about things, but they don't actually want to put any action forward. And so it creates a laziness and aloofness. It's like a disconnection from their environment. And I don't feel that this is helpful in any way. And big picture, what I said to my son was, baby, I know you've got stuff that's hurting in you, and I will do everything to help you heal that. And you need to let me know what you need from me so I can help you. But you have to face it. You have to look at that stuff because whether you look at it at 18 or you look at it when you're 50, it's going to be waiting for you. And so, any of you listening that are not dealing with something and you're just trying to tuck it away and you think you're pretty damn sneaky about it, it's not really going to serve you to be sneaky anymore. So, what if we had 2015 be a year of complete liberation and freedom of addiction of any kind? What if we each chose to live this year with awareness and empowerment and enlightenment where we want the light, we want truth, so that we stop numbing ourselves? What if we stop procrastinating on all of our dreams and goals and we start getting those inspirational hits and we take action on them right away? And I will tell you what will shift. As you start to live in this way, you will feel a confidence rise in you. You will feel self-worth rising in you, and you will feel so much fulfillment because you're actually living and fulfilling your life and soul's mission. And that's what every single one of you watching today is here for. You're not here to numb out. I don't care if you're 20 years old and you're in the whole party rave scene and you're all getting high together, you're getting drunk together, having random sex together. You think you're really superiorly powerful, and I watch you. I observe many that talk to me as if they got it all figured out. But I am telling you, I am observing, and it is not healthy, and it is not loving yourself. It is not loving anyone that you're with, and it is destructive. And until we start to wake up and stop making excuses for our partying and how, oh, I'm just 20, so just let me live. I'm just partying. I'm just a kid. I hear so many excuses for the reason that they're choosing destruction. And it is not healthy. It makes no sense. And each of us tuning in today, I'm just hoping the ones listening are either one, you're dealing with some kind of addiction and you're ready to heal it and you're ready to face it, or two, you are going to be more observant of people in your world that you can help them, whether it's your friend, your child, your husband, your boyfriend, your sister, your girlfriend. If you're enabling their behavior, you are a part of the problem. And we have to stop being a part of the problem. Any of us. If we see people hurting, why don't we start being courageous and we start shining the light on that pain and we start guiding them to the direction to heal instead of just laughing at them while they look ridiculous or while they're hurting themselves because we just think, it's not my problem. Look at them. They're being so destructive and so stupid. And then they gossip about them when they're not around. This is not love. And I feel like ultimately what is going to heal everything on our planet that's out of alignment is going to be love. And love starts with self-love. If I don't love Tawnya, if I don't feel good about myself, it's going to be pretty hard for me to be really happy and excited for the well being of another because I don't feel good about myself. So, any of you that are struggling to really feel compassion for others, it's a direct focal point to shift and look in that mirror and start healing yourself, start loving yourself. And I don't care what you've done, I don't care how long you've been addicted or what things you've done. You can heal that now and you can change the direction of your life. You can shake off that past. You can shake off the shame. You can shake off the pain and you can learn from it and you can rise and transcend that darkness. I know you can. So I'm going to take a pause because I was just going for like a half an hour.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Everybody was afraid to interrupt. Okay, we have a caller, but first
Okay.
there is a comment in the chat that I don't know if I should read it to you because I want to make sure. Is your door one of those narrow doors to the room or is it a really wide door?
All right, what?
The door to the room, is it wide or is it narrow?
In my room?
Yeah. Pretty wide?
Yeah.
I want to make sure that you can get out of the room after I read you this comment because your head may.
Oh, I was like, what are you talking about?
Cherokee
okay, so my
saying,
head's gonna swell.
Cherokee saying, over the past week, I've seen her videos, your videos. I can't believe how much control she has over her words and how well she gets to the point with impact.
Thank you.
And Ron is saying, believe it, Cherokee. She's definitely on a mission.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Cherokee. And I don't worry, my head won't swell. I'm completely humble about it all. But yeah, what it is I'm just opening myself to channel it all out and I don't get in the way. That's exactly what I do. And so the more that we can be open, this actually came up in our game yesterday was there's like so many things that I've taught, like when I'm teaching a group of women in a workshop, or if we're doing a yoga teacher training, if I'm teaching a painting class, a fitness class, it doesn't matter. If we're in the place where we're open channels for source to flow, for spirit to move through us, we are mighty and we are powerful and we know exactly what needs to come out. When we get in the way and we have ego there, we have fear, insecurity, worry about what we look like, what is it going to sound like, then we get in the way and we actually kind of disrupt the flow. And we were talking about, like, sometimes I've had people criticize me on Facebook and they mean well, but they're just like people that are really OCD about punctuation and things like that. And they'll just be like, Tawnya, if you want me to edit this before you post it, just let me know. And like, I'm just so ADD about typos and spelling and all that. And I'm like, honestly, to me, it doesn't matter. I feel to our society, we have so many rules about what's right, what's like right or wrong as far as really silly things. And when we're really channeling spirit, it doesn't matter if the typo happened or it doesn't matter if I didn't put the comma in the right place because the way I channel, it just flows in. And so if we just can allow spirit to move through us without critiquing it all the time, without criticizing it, without having to take this raw, pure truth, and then how do I take it and mold it into something that's marketable or presentable? This is where I think most of us create problems and disruption in the truth. When we get truth, if we just let it come out, it's sacred and it's beautiful, and we don't need to get our hands in there and mess with it. So I feel like, oh, that was weird noise. Was that you, Amnon?
Yeah.
What was that?
That was a car screeching, coming to a stop.
Nice. I love the sound effects. I'm like, what? I thought it was outside, like, ee. But yeah, so if we can each just be more in our power, and this is where when I talk about getting clearing, and as a healer, this is my passion, and I know there are millions and millions of people on this planet that will benefit from a clearing, so there's not a lack of people to help. It's more, how do we get these people to really value themselves and to invest in that healing, because that healing is going to be profound. I can tell you from clients that I've worked with, the ones that actually come and they do their work. I have this woman, Sarah, that I just met a couple months ago, and she is like a dynamo energy. And she came in, she knew she had stuff to deal with and clear, and she has invested time, money, and energy into showing up, into doing her work, and she is taking off. She's creating her own first album as a country music singer. She is totally working on her goals and dreams. And yes, she gets kind of messed with once in a while from insecurity, and she gets messed with the old collective conscious wounds of what a woman is and how, her body image looks to everyone. And then she'll come in and be honest about that. We'll put that on the table, shine the light on it, and she heals it and leaves feeling empowered and shakes that off and changes her energy, and her vibration goes higher. And so when I see souls like this that do their work and they don't make excuses anymore, it is beautiful, because a soul like myself, our highest joy comes from helping this happen. When I help a soul heal the woundedness, heal that darkness, and transcend it into light, there is nothing more sacred or more fulfilling in my entire existence than these moments. And so, my goal and my hope is that as I'm speaking on these internet shows, it's not just like wasted energy and people are listening, like, yeah, yeah, okay, I'll do that later. And then they go back to their misaligned life. It's really with the hopes that you're going to hear the messages so that you will shift and make this new year amazing. Because every single one of you listening deserve that. Every single one of you deserve the magic, the miracles, the healing, the wholeness, the abundance. There is not any of you listening that are not worthy. And every one of you that believes that you're unworthy, you hear that little ego voice chattering in your head telling you, oh, girl, you're not as good as her. Oh, you could never do that. You could never make it. Oh, who do you think you are? You're never going to be one of those guys. Like, you got to just stay here where you are. That is what's the issue. You are listening to the wrong voice. You're listening to that ego voice that is keeping you stuck right where you know, where you're familiar, that uncomfortably comfortable place. And if you dare to go into the unknown and you start to listen to the intuitive side, you start to go spend time with healers that you can feel their vibrational alignment, whether it's me or another, spend time with them. Go and do your work with them. Be courageous, be vulnerable, open your heart and heal and get the guardedness to fall and drop. Because all of us, in order for us to live our most dynamic experience on this planet, we need to be centered in love. I truly know that love is what is going to heal everything. And nothing is unhealable. Nothing. It doesn't matter if it's a disease, a broken relationship. It doesn't matter if it seems like time and space have separated this. Nothing is going to stop healing from happening, because love is going to create the change and the shift for all of it. I absolutely know that with every bit of my being. So I will pause. Any other comments or anything that they want to comment about with the addiction focus and what I was saying? Anybody struggling with addiction, or maybe today you want to be courageous and say something you've been struggling with and that you're ready to put it in the light and have all of us send love and light to you as we hold space for you to shift and to transcend that. So I open that up for you.
Well, let's see if that the caller has something to say. Caller, go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, hi. Hey, Tawnya. It's Gina. You're one of my Facebook friends.
Oh,
Good
hi,
to meet
Gina.
you. Hi.
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm really doing good. Happy New Year. This is a great
Happy
way to
New
start off the
Year.
new year.
What's that?
Mm, This is a great way to start off the new year because everybody, it's like 2015 is really a clearing out year. We're making changes, and we're facing a lot of atrocities happening in the country, and
Yes.
it's also actually, it's indicative of what we're going through as individuals. So
Absolutely.
we have to start facing these things now. I mean, that's what, we have to talk about going into the fifth dimension, and it's about clearing ourselves out.
Absolutely. That is
Yeah,
absolutely true.
I'm a healer too. I have to say I'm a wounded healer, and I'm sure you are too, Tawnya, where we
Oh, that
come,
we've been through things, right?
yeah, we come as the indigo children who go through everything under the sun and heal ourselves so that we can help others. And anyway, so with my gifts, I go into people's chakras, and I've learned so much through my work. I've learned that we have all these trapped things going on, not only from this lifetime, but past lifetimes. We have things in ourselves from our ancestors. So there is so
Absolutely.
much that needs to be cleared out. that we can't actually bring to our consciousness. And we just know we have
Absolutely.
these horrible feelings going on, and we don't even know what they're from. We have no memories of them if they're from past lives or from the ancestry. So we just have these horrible feelings that need to be released. And, it's ideal to have a healer work with you. And there's also other techniques like tapping. If you go on the internet and learn about tapping, that's
Mm-hmm.
that's been extremely helpful if you're by yourself, or just if the feelings come up, scream into a pillow. I used to ride roller coasters to get out my emotions, just scream my head off. It's just getting out that emotion. And if you feel, and I read, and I really believe this, if you feel that emotion and you've had some horrible words to come out, like I hate, actually when you get out those feelings and you let them out of yourself, then you have room for love to fill in. And it's not that you're putting hate out into the world, you're just getting it out of yourself. And don't deny
Absolutely.
yourself those feelings at all.
I completely agree. Because sounds like we do similar healing work. Because as an angelic healer, that's the same thing. I'm tuning into the chakras and the auric field and clearing
Yeah,
and seeing past life visions and things that are very unconscious in most humans, that they're not even aware of why the disruption's there sometimes.
right,
And this is
right.
where, like you're saying, going to see a healer that can help you see that stuff, that we can get really good at just tucking our stuff away and not looking at it. And we can just
Yep,
be unconscious about it and think that we're fine. But it still keeps coming up and disrupting our life in some way. And that's
yep,
where, when you're working with a healer that's very neutral, they're just a channel to receive that energy. They can help to see into the darkness of what you're not wanting to see. Like a lot of times
yeah,
with clients who have had like sexual abuse or something, they can feel
yeah,
something's off, and they sense and they see the destructive path they've taken with their own sensual connection, their sexual relationships. But to have a healer get in there and bring them confirmation and help them to see that in a very loving, safe way is very
yeah,
powerful for them to clear it, so that they can raise the vibration and no longer attract that energy into their vibration anymore, or their
yeah.
frequency. And
I'll tell
what's
you
that?
something really fascinating too, is that, I'll ask people where their scars are, where they have physical injuries, and then so I'll go into that scar or that wound, or, if it's a heart problem or throat issues, I'll go into that area and then I'll clean out all this trapped emotion, and all of a sudden they won't have pain in that area. That's
Yep.
how important it is to release emotions. You'd be
Yes.
shocked at what we're carrying around in our energy,
Absolutely.
and absolutely shocked, and how it manifests in a physical. Not
Yes.
even, you don't even have to be feeling emotions. If you just feel pain in some area, if it's your throat, then maybe you're not saying or getting out all the emotions that you should. So a lot of the times the parts of the body are indicative of what is causing that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and when it's interesting because there's like with healings, I've had some clients that are like remote, New Jersey, never met them, tuning in from a distance, and they're blown away when after a session, things like arthritis that doctors say are chronic that
Yeah,
cannot be healed, they
yeah,
when the messages come through of what the emotional energy is they need to release and clear, and they do their work, they listen and they actually allow that shift to happen. I've had clients who've healed arthritis and it's never returned in one session. I've had seen tumors dissolve in a session and they're gone.
yeah,
And so we are actually on the cusp as healers. I feel 2015 is going to be just such a breakthrough year for healers in general that have done their work. And so we
yeah,
have to, as healers, clear. I don't consider myself a wounded healer anymore, but was I wounded? Yes. Do I identify with
yeah.
wounded now? Not at all. And so I
Yeah, the
feel
only
there's this.
reason, yeah, why I say that is because it's like if we didn't understand their pain, if we hadn't have been there, then they wouldn't be listening to us. We'd have no credibility. If we couldn't relate,
Yes.
oh, I'm a healer, I have this light work, I can't relate to you, but I can help you. So anyway, that's
Yes.
why I say that. And life, we're here for contrast. This is an extremely hard school. We learn things from pain. Anyway, I'm not ashamed of it whatsoever. I'm grateful for this experience.
Yes. Well, and the way when I say that is I agree with you that I was wounded and hurt in my journey, but I just don't claim that anymore. The I am statement now is my wholeness. And I feel that in order, like, yes, we will relate. And I absolutely have honor for that darkness and that path that I traveled to bring me to this place where I am. But it's important that we do heal that in ourselves as healers to clear all ego, any sense of woundedness in ourselves needs to be cleared so that we're in the highest vibration to really assist others so that we're not taking on their pain. We can let it touch us, we can let it come and give us a message and then give it back. But we don't feel we need, like a lot of times, I am actually assisting healers through clearings. And it's helping them learn how to shift into that higher alignment so that they do not allow any energies to come in and affect them in any way that's negative or destructive.
And healers need healers. We're still human. We're
Absolutely.
here on this earth. And so, yeah, we're
Absolutely.
all one. We're all, yeah.
Yes. And I feel like I attract a lot of healers that are in need of healing, if that makes sense. But I
Yeah,
do totally
absolutely.
hear what
Yeah.
I totally understand what you're saying with that word. And yes, I feel most healers I've met have been through a lot to bring them to that place
Absolutely.
of understanding and compassion.
Yeah.
And so it's been an amazing journey. I don't regret any of it. And it
No,
does help
no.
us to
I
really
mean,
have compassion towards each other. So it's
yeah.
all beautiful. Absolutely.
Yep, we're all in this life experience. We all have good times, bad times. None of us escape that. It's
Yes.
the earth experience.
Okay.
So did you have anything that you wanted to say connected to the addiction or like clearing addiction? Did you have any
Um,
input on that?
yeah, well, okay. So when I'm working with somebody, a lot of times the addiction is extremely strong when there's things, clogs, that need to be removed, right? So I've noticed when I remove those things from somebody, they are less likely to self-medicate. But we are still human beings in the earth experience and the physical experience. So as things come up, I mean, it's layers of the onion. We
Mm-hmm.
all self-medicate in our own ways. So when I look at addiction, it's more we have a certain amount of energy, and it's not like 1 minute you're going to be into addiction and the next minute you're not. It's actually move the energy into a different way to something positive. Like take the addiction and get out there and start walking or start
Yes.
drawing or something
Yes.
positive or get into a group and start talking.
Yeah.
So it takes the energy. You can't just get rid of the energy. Move it into something positive for yourself, and do not deny yourself any emotion, no matter how stupid it seems or how embarrassed you seem from it. If it's there, let it out, and just whatever it takes. Do not deny yourself any feelings whatsoever, because they could be coming from a past lifetime that you don't know about. Just get it out of your system, cry it out, find a healer that's good at moving the energy out, whatever it takes. And I definitely recommend tapping if you're by yourself or you can't afford a healer, because I know a lot of people charge money, and that's hard. So a lot of people are like, well, I can't afford this. There are so many ways to get that energy out, like hit the pavement, run really hard, just move that energy and do something really positive for yourself. And if you're really depressed someday, then have a little picnic on your bed or have a beautiful bubble bath and fool yourself while you're going through that pain, and just allow yourself that pain, because until you face that pain head on, you're not going to get rid of it.
Yes.
You know what I
I
mean?
do agree that we have to give ourselves space to really be authentic with what emotions we're feeling and allow them to rise and then release. And so some, like you were mentioning, like some people that aren't able to afford to go see a healer, if you don't feel you're at that place where you can economically bring that into your existence at this time, first I would encourage you to connect with your angels and to really
Yes.
tune into your spirit guides to assist you. Thank them for raising your vibration. Thank them for clearing the part in you and your consciousness that says you can't have what you need. Because ultimately, if you're needing something and it's available, there is a way spirit can bring it to you. So a lot of our healing is going to be clearing even that consciousness, that poverty or separation consciousness, which says we're not one and that we don't have enough. And as we shift that, if you're not there today, I totally understand that. But we can shift that by working with our angels and guides and thanking them for helping us to clear these thoughts and to clear this vibration of lack, to help us to come back into our wholeness and our oneness in that unity consciousness so that we can really allow everything we need to come in magical ways. And so,
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
yes,
You know
there's a
what just
lot we
came to
can
me
do on our
too?
own for sure.
Yeah, is that, oh my gosh, our angels are right there. Oh, and so many people have no idea that they have all
Yep.
this help at all times. And when you talk to your angels and you ask for them to be there for you and you ask them to help cleanse you, they're going to put images in your mind of what to do. You know, they're going to
Yep.
put images of activities that you can do to help get out those emotions. So know that you're that intuitive being as well.
Yes,
So you're
absolutely.
not
It's
making
really
up that
learning
stuff
to
coming.
yes, it's learning to ask them for the guidance and then pause and be still and trust in the intuitive voice. There's two voices. It's like the ego voice is very destructive and always about separation and wounds and pain and lack. And then the intuitive voice is always guiding us to wholeness, to unity, to our oneness. And so as we learn to tune out and kind of laugh at the ego voice, and know that it's there and don't need to fight it or kill it. You just laugh at it like, okay, I've heard you before. And you give your energy and your focus to your intuitive side. That voice is going to guide you in that aligned directions. And this is where, when I say as inspiration strikes, it's really important that we take aligned action. So if we get the intuition to start going to yoga, for example, and this year we're like, man, I don't feel good. My bones and muscles and joints hurt. And when we're laying there and kind of asking our angels for guidance, and we get that feeling to go and check into that yoga class, that's an example of an intuitive nudge. And now it's time for you to get up and take action towards it. If you don't feel that you have the money to go take a class right now, then go and just get a book and learn about yoga, or go on YouTube. There's tons of videos that you could watch and just learn basics. I feel like ultimately humans that want what they want and they aren't going to make excuses and procrastinate will find a way to powerfully evolve forward. And humans that are still stuck in fear and ego will always make excuses for that shift. They'll make excuses and procrastinate. I say that because as healers, we are just as valuable and just as worthy of abundance as any other job or profession. And we are here to heal that feeling that we should just give everything away for free. And I feel like so many people that are wounded, they will go, and I observe people. I observe the ones that are like, Tawnya, I can't afford to come and get a healing. And, if I could, I would totally do the work. But I see them on Facebook posting and they're out drinking and they're going to get Starbucks and they're going to get their nails done. And they have money. We all have financial abundance that comes. And what are we choosing to do with it? Do we choose to heal ourselves and to get more empowered and to actually shift our consciousness into a greater alignment so that we know we are the powerful creators that can create and cultivate anything if we really want it? Or do we continue to feed that ego and tell it that we don't have enough, we're not worthy, and then we make excuses and we procrastinate and we'll go and buy things that are not really healthy for our bodies or our lives, but we won't put and invest that energy into something that could actually help empower us? So I feel like we have to all get really truthful about where we're getting in our own way with progress. Where are we really sabotaging our own success? And this addiction can come in so many forms. An addiction to procrastination could be there. There could be an addiction to people. There could be an addiction to um, coffee, addiction to sugar. It doesn't really matter what the thing is. Like I was saying to some of my clients, I'm like, it doesn't matter what it is, whatever you put in the parentheses is not the like villain. It's just something that we're putting in to fill a void because we don't want to feel something and deal with it. So it could be sex, it could be just like relationship obsession. It doesn't matter. What's really needing to shift is that you heal that part inside that says, I am not good enough for that thing. I am not good enough or worthy enough to have a nice bubble bath by myself. And instead, I sit here and feel lonely and sad and depressed because I don't have anyone. So it's a shift in that perspective from lack to I am enough, I am good, I am worthy. And shifting into that perspective and holding that focus, you will start to really experience magical shifts. Magical miracles will happen. So, is there any other comments or questions?
Yeah, but I don't know if you'll have time to deal with it.
Go for it.
Um, all right, Eileen is saying, my father recently got another DUI, seventh one in his life. I know it's a huge form of self sabotage.
Mm-hmm.
Every time he is building his health and career, he will meet controlling, addict women out of loneliness and start drinking a whole bunch all over again and manifest poverty for himself. He has
Yep.
multiple skills. He can fix cars, plumbing, constructions, everything. He is the ultimate handyman. He could have had his own business and a great income by now for himself. So talented, but he wastes it away every time. I always speak to him directly, but he won't always listen. I feel he
Yeah.
has a hard time listening to me because I am his young daughter. He's actually a very sensitive man and sometimes has difficulty managing his own emotions. To be honest, my dad is 50 but has the emotional maturity guidance slash guidance system of like a 20 something.
Mm-hmm.
And it again is because he had a family that rarely allowed him to feel.
Exactly. So what Eileen's expressing is a perfect example of what I'm talking about, where a soul in their younger days, their youthful times, was oppressed, had abuse of some kind that caused them to feel they were not enough, they were not free to express, free to be who they are or feel what they needed to feel. And this can happen to so many of us in its own subtle way. And how that soul handles that is making all the difference. If they take that so personally, which in my younger years, I certainly did, I took it personally and it caused a lot of suffering. But we can keep making the excuse of what happened to us and the pain, and we can keep procrastinating and keep numbing and destroying ourselves, which really does nothing to serve our highest soul mission. It is not going to help empower us to do these things. Or we can start to shift and feel what we need to feel. So it's an example of what I was making a reference to, where in his younger childhood, he was made to feel he couldn't feel his emotions and he couldn't express them. And so emotionally, he suppressed everything. That is like a bomb waiting to happen. If you keep shoving down your emotions and you're not dealing with them, whether you're a man or a woman, it doesn't matter our sex. We are feminine, masculine energy. And as soon as we start to really understand that and heal that in each of ourselves, we will realize that yes, a man should absolutely cry, and a woman should absolutely stand in her power, and a man could absolutely be a leader and a warrior, and a woman can absolutely be compassionate and caring and gentle and nurturing. Both energies are at play in a man and a woman. And so we got to stop seeing each other as like man, woman, and you're a girl, so you should feel emotions. I'm a guy, I don't do that. So I'm going to just be an asshole and I'm going to go drink and then treat you shitty because I can't express what's happening inside of me, the emotions. And then you're a woman, so it's okay if you cry if I'm mean to you. And then you can nurture me and tell me everything's going to be okay. And we create this really dysfunctional energy because we're creating these little boxes of what man, woman should be. If we can heal that and we see the wholeness in ourselves, then we can really help each other more. We can actually be in our power. And so her dad is an example of someone who's been so suppressed and held everything in and become very destructive to fill that void emotionally, doesn't want to feel the pain, so he's trying to get away from it. So he's like externally grasping at anything he can, sex, women, alcohol, to try to make that feel better, to try to help him numb that pain. And whether he heals that now or he waits till the next life, it's going to be waiting for him. And so if we when we wake up and we realize that we are amazing spiritual beings in human form And we are living lifetimes to gather information and learn and clear karmic energy and clear past energy and bring in greater love and light and greater truth. We will see that it doesn't matter how many lifetimes it will take a soul, the overall journey we have is the same. Each of us, if we stick to the path, we will save time. If we come to the path and we start to tune in to Spirit and thank Spirit for healing us, for bringing our stuff into the light so that we can clear it and release it and come back into our wholeness, we will thrive. So whether he chooses that today at 50, or if he would have chose that at 15 years old or at 20 years old, it doesn't really matter to the greater energy. Source energy is giving us the choice. We have free will as human beings. We are in human form with free will to choose. And so for Eileen to be expressing and trying to help him and he doesn't hear her, it might feel like an exhaustion. And she may need to realize, send love to him. You spoke your truth. Show and guide him through your aligned example. And if he's watching you and wants to learn, he will watch you. And if he doesn't and he needs to suffer, this is part of where Spirit says, do not attach to role and title, because each soul has its own journey. And some really, really need to walk the darkness to learn. And we each did it in our own way. We had to walk through our own stuff for the period we needed to wake up and to learn. So if we can come to that place of compassion and honor everyone on their journey and honor exactly where they are, no matter where you are. I actually woke up this morning. Where's my phone? I put this in my phone so I wouldn't forget it. So let me see if I can find it real quick. I woke up this morning and Source was channeling this thought through my mind. This consciousness came streaming in right when I woke up. And it's exactly in alignment with what we're talking about right now. So I knew it was going to come to a reason I would say it. Love everyone where they are while honoring yourself with healthy boundaries. That is what Source actually brought through me in my dream this morning when I woke up. And so what is it? Do we hate people because they're addicts or they're doing crimes or they're causing pain? No. If we're hating another, we are a part of the problem. We are now actively part of the darkness. We are losing our vibrational alignment because of their loss of vibrational alignment. This is going to serve no one. If you watch the movie Mandela, it's about Nelson Mandela's life. It's an amazing film on that point, how no matter what happened to him, he knew when he came back to lead his people, he needed to lead them to forgive. No matter what had happened to them, they each needed to forgive and heal to move forward. So if you have a dad that's struggling with addiction in some way, the greatest way you can help him, speak your truth, shine the light, and love him where he's at in consciousness right now. Love him, but also love yourself and create healthy boundaries for yourself. This is why some of us will get to that place in our journey where we will love another, but we will realize their addiction is destructive for our own happiness, and we will release them from our life. So we may divorce a husband, or we may leave a sister, a sibling, or we may not connect with a child until they get healed, because that is loving ourselves. And that is something that many, I feel, have a lot of room to heal, because we have so much attachment to role and title. We have so much collective consciousness that is about belief systems of what a mom should be, or what a woman should be, what a man should be, what a dad should be. And it's really time to drop all of that belief system that is all bullshit and it's not serving any of us, and to come back to this pure place with Source where we and Source are one. And when I and Source am one, I can assist and connect with love. And how may I serve moment to moment? It doesn't need to be about attachment. It doesn't need to be about any kind of fearful anything or agenda. And so many on our planet have so much to learn of what love really is, because love is unconditional, but it is also loving of self. It is honoring self-worth and healthy boundary as it loves unconditionally anyone on the planet. So it's really important that many of us empaths and sensitive souls, healers, as Jean or Gina was speaking of wounded healers, I've heard that term so many times, and yes, so many healers have been wounded and have been hurt, and I honor it, and I've been there. But it's so important that we heal it. We don't need to be wounded healers anymore. Let's be empowered healers. Let's step into our alignment of empowerment. Let's become liberated and free and love and be in that alignment of light, because that is when we're really going to do the greatest work and where we're going to really inspire others to come into that alignment as well. Not by chasing them or making them. And you really, it's sad to say, because I have compassion for Eileen. I have parents similar. And what I would say to you is to love them, send them love and light, and live your life and shine, shine, shine. Because you are not responsible to carry the burden of your parents or your ancestry in any way. And yes, they're wounded. And I feel so many of us, I was just saying this in our group yesterday, some of us, when we're wounded, we want our mother, our father to give us something. Externally, we feel we're needy of something. Like, I need my mom to love me. I need my dad to acknowledge me. You don't. And that may sound kind of like, what do you mean I don't? That's what I feel. Everything in my being thinks it needs that. It's truly what you need is to remember you are the mother and the father energy. You are the masculine and the feminine energy. And when you come back into that light and that alignment, you can love your mother and father wherever they are. You can see them with compassion and have the most love for them and see where they've come from and how far they have traveled to get to the place they are. And you'll realize they didn't hate you because they withheld love. You weren't unworthy. They gave you the best they could from the consciousness they were in. And really, that's when we love each other where we are. We have to get to that place where we love each other where we are, and we don't need anything from each other in a way of control and manipulation. Because when we can be one and whole, we can really start to lead a shift that will help to liberate our mothers and our grandmothers and our fathers and our grandfathers. Some of us may be the children that will be the warriors of light that will lead the shift to help save and to inspire our ancestors. So if you're waiting around for your mom to heal so that you can heal, I would encourage you to do your healing and not wait another day. And know that by doing so could be the very alignment that happens to help inspire that healing and that shift in your mother or your father. Okay, we are 5 minutes over.
That's okay.
So
Eileen is just adding that she says, thank you, Tawnya. I've learned much better detachment and patience regarding my father. I've had a lifetime experience. I just send him love and hold a vision of new beginning for him. I release him. I just thought I'd bring it up as a good example, but don't go trying to save my dad anymore. I used to.
Awesome.
Now I just speak,
beautiful.
detach, and go back to taking care of myself.
That's perfect. And
Yep.
Eileen's really a shining example of what I'm talking about with alignment, where you really think that you're helping people. Sometimes we've been trained to go and give everything away and like suffer to save someone. It's the martyr energy, and we have to clear that martyrdom for us to really be the warriors of light we came here to be. We're not here to carry people's burdens. We're not here to hurt ourselves at the cost of another and suffer for someone. We're here to live in alignment and thrive and shine and lead through inspiration and through aligned example. And others that are ready for that, there's people watching. They're watching you, and you're inspiring them, and you are nudging them into that light. Even today, I could be talking and somebody's listening and they're kind of irritated with me. Like, what is she saying? Like, that is totally challenging every belief system in me. Awesome. Because I'm not here to say what you want to hear. I'm not here to like just be your friend and like cater to what you need to hear that will continue to keep you stuck in ego. We're here to be warriors of light, to speak truth with love and compassion, but with clarity. We're here to nudge each other to get out of codependency, to get out of that wounded place, step into your power and shine. That is really what I know I'm on this planet for. And I feel so many of us are on this planet for that, but we do have to be aware of what is holding us back from that. So to kind of end this show today, I encourage each of you to be conscious this next week of anything of addiction that is rising in you that needs to be released, and journal about that. If you sense there's, why is it when no one's watching, I'm downing a whole bag of Snickers? That's an addiction. That's exactly an addiction, because after you do that, you feel bad about yourself and then you feel shameful. Anything you're doing that causes you to go into the shadow is an addiction energy. And what you need to do is stop going into that shadow, stop giving it energy, and start putting it into the light. Go talk to somebody, go to a women's group or a men's group, go paint a picture and express it, go sing a song about it, get it out, release it, and come into the light and start to heal and shine and thrive. That is my highest hope for each of you, however you need to go about that. So I thank you all for tuning in, and I totally am calling forth an amazing, miraculous, and abundant 2015 for each and every one of us. And I know that as each of us hold our focus and our alignment on that happening, we are powerful co-creators. And so if we can all get our energies together and focus on what we're bringing into alignment, what we're shifting and transcending, this is where the powerful magic happens. Don't get too caught up on all the darkness and the fear part. Focus on what we're bringing in. What are we channeling in? What are we grounding into the physical world? That is where we should focus. So thank you all for tuning in. I love you so much, and I wish the best and most beautiful energy and experiences for each and every one of you. Blessings.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Health In with Debbie Bruck, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Lessons of Vietnam with NCVBI members, The Tawnya Love Show, Your Healthy Pet with Gisela DiCarlo. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by Atomus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.